This
Meeting will
conference
now
will now
be.
be recorded.
There she is. All right. She's getting a little slow in her old age, but we had the clock start right on time and everybody's here. Um, I don't know about you guys, but these 5 days have gone really fast for me. And judging by how busy everybody is, I'm suspicious it's gone fast for you with this on top of all the rest that you have to do. I'm going to get sort of right down to business. Um, I'll give you an outline of where we're going, but just a reminder of how everybody's been doing a great job with their microphones that you can call in if you need to. And I'm going to sort of put my foot down and say, let's pay attention to this updates thing this morning. Uh, Dave, John, let me call on you if I can. John, can you tell me what version of Hydrotech for Revit you have currently on your machine?
I can attempt to figure it out. Hold, please.
Sure. Maybe you could sort of narrate for us what you're thinking for how to find that.
I'm assuming I go to the Hydra CAD ribbon,
Yep.
go to the help
Yep.
panel, and then version history.
That'll tell you what version is available, and this slide
Uh,
doesn't actually tell you, but if you just hover over the help button,
okay.
it should pop up.
Oh, current version 26.1.0.
You get a gold star, John, and you've spoiled it for everybody else because if I ask David what version he's on, whether it says that or not, he knows to cheat and tell me that's what his version is on. Um,
Now mine
Mike,
says the same thing.
all right. Well, gold star for you too, then, David. Uh, and you got there by running the update as I asked you to.
I think
I think
Maybe
ours were, we just purchased Hydra
I did for Revit.
Tech for
Yep,
Revit. So when we downloaded everything on our machines, it was the latest and greatest.
that's good that we get a gold star for that. Um, but I'm still going to save this slide and say keep an eye on it. Chris, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yes,
What does if you hover over the help button? What does yours say?
I updated mine last week, so the same 26.1.
All right.
Hmm.
Is there anybody that would like any help getting up to 26.1.000? Well, we'll take that as a green light to move on. I will say one more time though. John was about to go to that version history, and next week I pretty much expect there will be an update, and you'll see that blue arrow. And if you say, "Oh, there's an update," I wonder if I should do that. If you pick on that version history button, it'll say what's in 26.1.001 or 002, whatever the latest version is. And you can say, oh, that sounds cool. Or you could say, I don't really care. Um, but but I was hoping to get Dave really excited about that because I'm telling you that next update has in it the center to center lengths and the cut lengths will just always keep themselves up to date. I'm really excited about that, and when it's available, you'll see that update button. Enough said.
Will that version history button, will that just show up when there's an update, or do I need to hit that
That's
setup?
there. The beautiful thing is that's there all the time, so that you can see what we've been doing for you in the last weeks, months, years, even. Um, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to do most of the driving today, and there's no reason we can't peek at that quick. So I am sharing my screen, but I need to push this out of the way for a second and go start Revit. and everybody else can be starting your version of Revit and opening the day 5 start project that I sent out this morning. That's where we're going to start. And it's listed, that version history is listed backwards in order. So the latest changes are at the top of the document, and then it gets to the earlier and earlier and earlier changes.
Hey, Alan, real quick.
Yep.
Is HydroCAD Revit version specific, or does when I install it, does it show up in 23 through 26?
What you said, it shows up in 23 through 26.
So I'm not. I've been noticing I don't see it in 25, so I got to look into that, I guess.
I guess so, because it now if you don't see it, that means the ribbons aren't showing up.
Yeah.
And I'll remind you, if you go to the help videos and type in ribbons, it'll tell you how to get those ribbons back.
Okay.
The install puts it there, but that there's a separate program to say, oh, and the way that can happen, Dave, is if you install Hydrotech for Revit first, and then you install Revit 2025.
Yeah. I had all the Revits on my computer before when I installed this. So I'll do that help video.
Yeah, I can't say that's what happened to you, but that's a way to get that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I understand that. That's for a lot of things, I think.
Sure. So HES, Hydrotech for here I am trying to walk and chew gum at the same time, and I'm befuddled. Where is my Revit training? There it is. And then here's start of day.
Fine.
Okay. And I will go to the HydroCAD ribbon. And I think everybody's used to seeing this. This had to do with I'm going to call it a false start on that next update. And because I was running it, you guys got sort of a file that was looking for that event, whatever it called it, updater. But not to worry, that'll go away in the real release. So we're just going to continue working with no harm. And then if I hover over the help button and I go to version history, where it says the latest version is 26.1.000, and I'm scrolling down a little bit. In HydroCAD for Revit, we made a tweak to robotic total station points. We made a tweak to spacing and layout. We made a tweak to update demand area in the HydroCalcs, and in list we fixed an error in the help documentation. So, and it failed. Well, maybe I failed to read, but it's the first version that supports 23 through 26, and there was some support for finishing out Revit 2022. So actually pretty readable, good reading, and that tells you what you're getting into if you run the update. Close that, and also one last thing, Dave, I told could go to help videos, and he could go to ribbons or update. Missing ribbons and doing updates. So there's a video for it. There's a PDF for it. So easy as that. Okay, so where are we going today? We've got like 3 slides to finish up from classes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those go to, we've got our sheet all set up and it's got lots of stuff on it, but we didn't actually put it on a piece of paper yet. And the next couple of slides talk about selecting the printer and making it the right size, and then selecting what you want to print, and getting the settings for it, and then doing the final settings and actually picking the print button and getting a PDF out of that. If you have Bluebeam comes with a printer. You can print to Bluebeam and make a PDF that way. If you have just plain AutoCAD out of the box and just plain Windows out of the box, you might get faked out by a thing that says Windows to PDF or Windows print to PDF. That would work so long as all of your sheets are 8.5 by 11. But Microsoft, in their usual way, does a half-baked job, and they say, "Oh, we can do that," and then they don't do a whole job of it. I have on my computer Qt PDF. It's spelled there little tiny letters, but it's CUTE PDF. If you Google that, and pay attention so you're not getting faked out by an ad or downloading some charged software or something. If you just pay attention, you can download a free PDF writer called Qt PDF, and I'm going to use that because it's free. So over here, I'm saying I've got sheet FP1 open, and it's got all the stuff I want on it, and I want it on a piece of paper. So I'm going to go to, and whether I'm on this sheet or not, the printer will get us what we do want. So I'm going to go to print, File, Print, and then Print. And here's where you select the printer. I'm going to go to Properties for the printer. I'm going to jump right down to Advanced. You would think the paper size would be basic, but it's under Advanced, so you got to go there. And then I can either pick Arch D. This is 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, 17 by 22, 22 by 34, and it seems to fit 24 by 36 also, or I can go down here to custom page size and I can tell it it's 24 by 36. And I'm going to tell it that it's landscape back here. There, it's landscape and okay. And so now I've picked where I'm printing to. I'll have to do this again, but this is if I'm going to print FP1, FP2, and FP3, I can get it all into one PDF by check marking this guy. And now I'm going to say I could print the current window since I have that sheet open, but typically I want to do 2 or 3 sheets at the same time. So selected views or sheets, then I'm going to go to select ... and I'm going to scroll down to FP1 and check mark that. I could print a blank 8.5 by 11 and a blank 30 by 42, but these ones are 24 by 36. I'm going to print that. So I pick select, and I think I might have, this is where I set up the paper size. On this side, it says we're going to select what we're going to print. So I said selected pages, and then I check marked FP1. And last time I did this, I've spilled over onto another sheet. So I printed that also. And then I think we're down to the last slide we've got here, which has a lot of stuff in common, with the AutoCAD printer, except in the print dialog on the AutoCAD side, you do a lot with line weights and colors and stuff. That's all handled in the views. It's all handled by the view template for each view, and primarily it's handled by the visibility graphics, where you get that list of 80 categories, and for each one of them you could say, yeah, no, I want the pipes to be blue, or I want the pipes to be orange or something. So that's handled with the view template for each view, and then the size and the spacing on the sheet is handled here. And I'm going to say that we're printing with no extra margins. Zoom 100%. We'll make sure that it's to scale. And then down in the bottom where there's options, if it says hide something, go ahead and check mark the hide something. And you don't have to pay a lot more attention than that. So over on Revit side, I'm going to say the setup stuff. I'm going to switch from Arch D to custom page size. And I'm going to not fit to page, and I'm going to make no extra margins. So I'm going to zoom to 100%. And then down here, if it has hide this, hide that, especially in Revit, there's lots of times you create a section to see something you're working on, and then you create another section. You could wind up with 10 or 20 section bubbles that never actually meant to be reported to the eventual reader of the PDF. By check marking hide unreferenced view tags, you are telling it, don't bother printing all of those extra section lines. You could meticulously go through each view and say, oh, I'm not going to use that one, delete it, or I'm not going to use that one, hide it in view. But this way you can leave it there, you can use it all you want, but we're not going to mess up the paper with it. That's it. I'm going to okay this and then say no to this just because these settings are simple enough and I like to think about them each time I do it, but you could save it and give it a name. And then next time you just say use that name. And by all these other settings, this thing got set back to make a separate sheet for each one. I'm going to go ahead and say, no. If I've got 2 or more sheets, I want them all in one PDF. I'm about to pick the OK button, but there may be a question before I do. Anybody? Then I will pick the OK button. And for the longest time, it seemed like after it was done printing, it came and asked me, where would you like to save this? And I'm going to save it in the HES basic training that I hope I can find quicker this time. And I'm going to put it right there and let it be called 60 by 80. I'm just going to say lesson 5. There we go. And save it. And depending on what PDF writer you're using, that may just automatically pop up that PDF, or you might have to go hunt it down to check it. Al's number 1 rule of programming is if you don't check it, it don't work. So I'm going to go hunt it down and take a look at it. It was going to say day 5. He's hiding on me. I'm going to put it in order by date. There's 7/3. Today's 7/3. That's a PowerPoint. I'm in the wrong place. So I have to check my checking ability. I've got to get back to HES, Revit training. And I'll put it in order by date. And there it is. Okay. Feels like an awful long way to get back to the exact same picture we were looking at before, but this is a PDF that I could share with installers or the approval authority or my boss. So there you have it. I think we're done with lesson 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to move on to the exciting stuff that we're going to cover today. This slide, just a reminder, we got lots of different stuff on that page. We've got some floor plans, we've got some building sections, we've got some 3D plans. A site plan is another floor plan, but it's a different view range and a different scale. We've got our sprinkler schedule, those 2D details that we borrowed from another model, and the completed title block. So I wrote down the questions that we were going to talk about today, and I collected a couple of these from emails you guys sent me. I very much appreciate that. Um, did anybody come with a burning question or two they were hoping for us to cover today?
I have something.
Let me write it down, and
Okay.
we'll go through this stuff, my prepared remarks, and then we can go on to stump the stars. What did you have?
I'm sorry. I should have emailed you. I thought about it yesterday and then forgot to email.
No
Um,
worry.
so basically, it's just a lot of times what's going to happen is, we're going to draw the basic system and submit it, and then you're going to start coordination, and you're going to have to manipulate all this stuff and move stuff around. And so anything you can do to kind of demonstrate manipulating, moving, changing, adjusting what we've already drawn, that'd be helpful.
Cool. So coordination is a part of it, but the idea of you got away with you got away with just drawing something and it was okay. What if you got to move it? And how can you make like go down, under, and back up to get around a problem or something, or
Yeah,
raise the
yeah.
whole system up or something? So I'm going to write coordination dot dot dot, and then I'm going to say down, over, up, and then I'm going to say raise entire system. And
Then is there an easy way to add like a jog to a branch line or something like that?
okay, jog the branch line. I'm going to put that on the list.
Yeah, thank
Two.
Go ahead.
Same sprinkler head, different temperature, different symbol,
Yes.
and
Now
when
that one's on
slope.
our list. That's like I put that top
Okay,
of the
perfect.
list for you. But go
And
ahead.
then on when you slope pipe and you connect a sprinkler head, the sprinkler head turns really small.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if we could
Okay.
look at that and see if it's possible to not have it go so small.
We can do that. And that this thing that the green one that says Revit backgrounds and show sloped pipe will create that problem, and I will solve it when we're doing that. So pay attention, special attention to blue and green slides.
Perfect, thank you.
Um, great questions. Anyone else?
You go over like the flex pipe or pipe.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to say you pay a special attention to the pink slides.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw that. I just wanted to make sure that's what it was meaning. So
yes, and um, I'm going to say the under the pink slides I did a special case of flex pipes, and or I did a special case of spacing pipes, and then I did a special case of flex pipes. But
okay.
I will add kind of standard. How do we deal with flex pipes
Yeah, yeah.
in a
Just
standard
using it
way?
in general, how to use it, how to
Right,
model it, and all that stuff. Yeah.
right. Cool. Those are great questions. Anyone else?
Al, I do. I have a
Great.
question. I think Dave and I have been kicking this around for a while. Um, this is a question you can either answer later in the class or just give me a quick answer. Um, the drawings we're using here have become huge, and this is a simple warehouse.
Uh-huh.
If I'm modeling and creating what I actually draw every day, I feel like these things are going to be ginormous. And
Uh-huh.
I used to in AutoCAD purge drawings to get rid of things I'm not using to make them a little smaller.
Yeah.
And I know that you can do the same in Revit, but is there other tricks that I don't know about, or is that just the nature of the beast?
Um, I, I, I probably want to write that down, but I can't help but answer a little bit. Revit is the reverse of it. In AutoCAD, the size of the drawing and your performance were linked one to one. And if this drawing got too big, AutoCAD would simply crash. So you are sensitized to what's the size of that file on your disk drive. Revit was designed to manage a ginormous project. Do you have any AutoCAD drawings of a 20-story building with all 20 stories in one drawing?
Yes,
You do.
I do. I was asked to do a complete system model
Yeah.
for it was 27 stories, but yes, so it's one big um, uh, what do you call that? The model that create is created by Hydrotech,
Oh, a
persistent
3D
model.
model, system model. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the entire thing, all floors, fire pump,
Ye-
FTC, everything
Okay.
connected.
But you were asked because that's not the way I'm suspicious. That's not the way you worked on it. That's what you created.
I created it, right? So I've created a insertion point and started with one
Right.
persistent model and
Right.
kept adding it. Yep,
Yeah. Um, but it's not a working model. If somebody said, "Gee, I want you to revise the
correct.
13th floor," um, you'd say they failed to number a floor number 13. I'm not doing it.
Right.
Uh, but if you had to work on the 12th floor, you would go to your 12th floor drawing and mess with it there, and then go take that out and reinsert the 12th floor into that master model. I'm
Yes.
saying Revit was built for us to do a 40-story building all in one project.
Okay.
It was built for it. So, not a surprise that it's a huge, huge project. Um, so, I'll say more about it before, but that's the reverse of it thing. AutoCAD, when you open an AutoCAD drawing, everything in that drawing gets loaded into memory. And the bigger that file is, the more memory it's taken. And once you max out your memory, that's when it's going to crash. In Revit, when you open a project, you're really just opening that index, the project browser. You're not opening that 4 GB file. You're only opening the part that shows that index. And when you double click on the 12th floor view, then it goes and collects the information for the 12th floor and displays it. So it was built to manage a huge project. And although there's purge and there's ways to get file size down, it's so unimportant. It's usually not worth the effort to try and do that.
Okay. Fair enough.
But it's not necessary. It's simply not worth the effort because it's really not necessary.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Uh,
Hey, John,
Dave,
this is Dave. I will say, we have a few projects like you're saying. We have a tower project going on right now, and it's 7.2 gig on our C drive, and it works fine.
Okay. All right. That's what I was curious about. And then the next thing is just file transfer, but that's kind of a thing of the past now because of Dropbox and such.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
if you couldn't email it, that 7 GB
Oh no,
wouldn't
no,
be an
no.
attachment for email.
Right.
But thanks for that, Dave, because I was just going to call on you and say we do have a Macho Stud propeller head on Revit, and he
Yeah,
can maybe
we
add,
got a few
add to my
projects
comment.
that are fairly big. So
But there is a secret to it. You
there is,
you
yeah.
don't want to take a 2 million square foot warehouse and make a view that shows every pipe dimensioned pipe and fitting in the entire 2 million square feet and put that on the screen at one time. That will be dog slow. But if you say, I've got a view of the northeast quarter, I got a view of the system number 12, that'll behave just great. Cool. Great conversation. And I'll talk a little bit more about huge drawings when we make I'll type out a list of these and we'll talk some more about each one of them. But I couldn't help but jump in on it just a little bit to say for my 95th time, Revit is the reverse of it. Anyone else? Well, let's get started. Um, Michael, you're the one that asked about same sprinkler, different symbols.
Yeah.
Um, so I came up with two schemes for that, method A and method B, or reason A and reason B. Reason A might be it's not really the same sprinkler. It's the same size and shape. It's the same model, but one is a high temperature and the other one's a standard temperature. Um, and my other reason is it's really precisely exactly the same sprinkler, but in one case you used it on a drop, and in another case you used it, or a drop or a sprig, and in the other one it's directly connected to the line. And you want to make sure that the pictures are reflective of that so that the installer knows what's going on. So let me show you, and then you can react to that and say, you got it, Al, or maybe you had something else in mind with the question. So if it's method A, they're really mostly the same, but there's something about them that makes them different. I would use the spacing and layout tool to pick the first sprinkler and go put those in. I'd use the spacing and layout tool to pick the other sprinkler and put those in. Our project already has all the sprinklers in, so I'm going to use the spacing and layout a second time to pick a different sprinkler, and then I'm going to replace a half a dozen or 9 in this case, sprinklers with that other symbol, with the other type. Over in Revit land, I'm going to go to our working view, and this working view is showing the sprinklers. The submittal view is showing the sprinklers and sprinkler tags. And maybe I want to do it here so I get the whole story for you. So right now you're not seeing the sprinkler itself, like the pipes don't go through the sprinklers because that tag is hiding them. And I'm going to back up a step and get rid of those tags. So I'm selecting everything. I'm going to the filter button, and I'm going to select nothing except the sprinkler tags. There's 48 of them, and I'm going to delete those. So you see how the pipes are going into the sprinklers now, Michael?
Yeah.
And the symbol that they're reporting came from my definition in the spacing and layout tool. So I'm going to go and replace these 9 sprinklers with 286-degree sprinklers instead of 165. So I'm going to go to spacing and layout, and I've got upright sprinklers, and I'm going to go pick a different sprinkler, new head from selection, from the selector. I had made favorites that included the reliable upright. And when we did this before, we dialed in 165. This time I'm going to dial 186, and I'll still use bronze. But that's that's technically it's not a red glass bulb, or it's a different temperature rating, and that'll be indicated on the SIN as well. I'm going to select that sprinkler, and at this point I have that on my list. If I pick that upright, you see there's 2 types available to me, and this type I'm going to use this symbol. So the 165 uses that symbol, the 286 uses that symbol. And then I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to take these 9 sprinklers because they've already been modeled, and I'm going to change them from 155 bronze to 286 bronze. And I'm going to be disappointed. It says 286, that their symbol didn't change. The symbol itself is over here, and I did a little bit of hunting and figured out it's head symbol 4. I think I can show you where that is, but let me start just by changing it. So the 286 is using this head 4 symbol. And now those 9 sprinklers are showing that way, and all the others are showing the other way. And if I look at the sprinkler schedule, there's 39 of the original picture, and here's where you get those pictures. So the picture I was hoping for was this head 4 picture. So I'm going to go down to the 9 sprinkler. I'm going to leave this one on head 2, and then I'm going to go down to the 9 sprinklers and make that head 4. There we go. And if I go to the sheet, now that's spelled out that way. Did I get it on the first one, or is this? No, they're really the exact same sprinkler. I just wanted to show 2 different symbols.
Oh no, that works. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. But I made up plan B. They're really the exact same sprinkler. But so I have 2 different kinds of 155 bronze. I have ones I want to indicate that they're on sprigs, and I have other ones that I want to just say they're directly connected. So a way to do that is to I'm going to go back to our submittal plan, and I'm going to take these 4 sprinklers and select them. And then I'm going to edit the type, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to duplicate it and say 155 bronze on sprig. So it's part number, it's description, it's temperature, they're all the same, but I'm going to use 2 different symbols. So I'm going to get rid of head 2, and I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and then go check it in a minute. I'm going to call it head 6. Not terrible. So I now, on my sprinkler schedule, have 3 entries, or should. Why would I not? That's a different symbol. So I should have those 4 separate on the schedule. All right, I'm gonna keep moving. I'm sure enough that's gonna show up on the schedule eventually. This isn't a lie. There are 39 of these sprinklers, and I could make a legend that says if it's got that symbol, it's on a sprig. I'm thinking it's a different type. It should be showing up here. Oh, I know. This schedule is sorted. It's sorted by zone and then by description. So I need to change the description of those 4 sprinklers to say on a drop. So let me get those guys, those 4. And when I change the type, I could also have changed the description down here. So it's sorting by this. And if I make this bigger, we might be able to see that whole thing, but I'm just going to go over to the end and say on drop. Wow, the end's pretty far down there. Ordinary upright on drop. Okay, and then the schedule will pull those 4 out, and I can change that one to head 6. All right. And then I didn't like the pipes going through the sprinklers. So I'm going to pick a window around all the sprinklers and use pretty sprinklers. And that draws a mask over each one of those sprinklers, and uses the sprinkler symbol mask to make the mask and the symbol look the same. And I'm going to show you again, but I'll just remind you over and over. The heads that are on a slope get shy. They don't show the symbol, but when I use pretty sprinklers, it shows that tag or that mask. So even though the symbol goes away because it's cocked or slanted compared to the floor, that mask will hide the pipes and show even the tilted sprinkler. So
A quick question with that last part.
yeah.
I just did the same thing, and when I look at the sprinklers without hovering my mouse over, they all look the same with the open circle. But if I
Yeah.
hover my mouse over it, then I can see the different.
Through it.
Yeah.
I cheated. I think what I did to cheat was I started by erasing all of the tags.
Oh, okay. So it's just there's 2 tags on this one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think there's only the one tag, the original one that was an open circle. And when you use pretty sprinklers, it says, "Oh, that one's already got a tag. I'm not doing it again."
Oh, okay. Got it.
So like I said, I cheated. I went and I deleted all. I had the exact same behavior last night when I practiced, and then this morning I cheated and I said, I won't wait until I get confused. I'll erase them first and then put them on. It'll put the right one on when it's time to put it on. Okay. Yellow slides are talking about drafting views. I didn't have a place for it in our lesson plan, but as we were dragging things onto our sheet, Dave mentioned he might take his hanger details or his piping details and create drafting views. A drafting view is kind of like, and I'm going to say it's kind of like having an AutoCAD drawing with its own name built into your Revit project so that it shows up on the project browser. The only thing that lets me call it an AutoCAD drawing is it's just lines and circles and arcs and text and dimensions and stuff. It's a sheet of paper with a bunch of lines on it. There's no actual sprinkler object with 3D properties or anything. If you want a sprinkler, you're going to draw a hat and a body and a thread flat on the paper. So my little hanger detail here, I don't know if I'm going to get through the whole thing. I'll tweak a part of it. But the idea is that it's just some lines, could be some dimensions, could be some text. And it can be created by going to View, Drafting View, and then using detail line or text to create it. So over here, I'm going to go to View, and we've got sections and 3D views and plan views. And the view that I'm going to create is a drafting view, which got relegated to one of the small buttons. But if I hover over it, it says drafting view. So I'm clicking on that, and I'm going to call it new hanger detail. And I can give it any scale that I'd like. I'm going to make it 1/2 inch equals a foot. There. And you've just got a blank piece of paper. So you could start, just start schwacking away. I'm going to type DL for detail line. And I'm going to make a rectangle that's really long and skinny. Element is too small on the screen, so I made it real tall and skinny, but too skinny. Rectangle. Okay, really. All right, so just draw some. I'm gonna go back to just drawing some stinking lines. Detail line or half-inch scale. That's all right. Detail line. And why don't I give it some reference here? I'll make this 2 inches in diameter. Well, now I'm just buggered here. You'd think I could draw a 2-inch diameter circle. Detail line. Okay, 12 feet. I like it. Not especially, but I've got a circle. Now I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to draw a detail line from somewhere on the circle to up here to over here. And then I'll draw from somewhere over here to up here and over there. And now I'm going to try my rectangle detail line, rectangle. Element is too small on screen. All right, I am miffed. Can I get away with a detail line? All right. I will not brag about it being a thing of beauty. And I had better luck last night when I was just drawing lines. He didn't complain about too small. But there I've got some text. Half-inch equals a foot. It's not an unusual scale. I'm going to put some text by typing TX. And sure enough, my text is wicked tiny. So wicked tiny text. And why is this stuff so big?
It's your text height per scale.
Text height
It's
is
to
only
scale, so that's a 3/16 on a half-inch view. That'll be pretty tiny. Hit the edit type. Is it actually 3/16?
I'm saying my experience with text in Revit is 3/16 text is 3/16 text.
Yeah.
If I change the scale to quarter scale, it's still going to be 3/16. If I change it to eighth scale, it's still going to be 3/16.
Maybe your lines are like 100 feet tall.
They are big. The lines are
That's probably
very tall, 88 feet.
Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah.
But he was pissing and moaning about it was
I know. I didn't understand that error either. So.
That's why you weren't saving me.
Yeah.
Let me now that I have some wicked tiny text, let me see if I can draw a wicked tiny circle. Detail line there. It'll let me do 6 inches by a foot. Now let me try a circle. All right. Maybe I was zoomed out too far. Now that I'm zoomed in, he seems to be handling this better. I'm going to try my detail line rectangle and use the rectangle to make like I'm doing a rod. Nope, now he's back to moaning about that. So detail line. Okay, we're back in the ballpark here, and I can fix my wick to wicked, and that's what I wanted to tell you about detail views. There's no make a 3D view of this. There's no making an isometric. It's just lines and circles and text and dimensions. You can use the dimension tool here. There and there and like that. So that's what I wanted to tell you about detail views. Now, besides detail views or drafting, besides drafting tool views, there are legends, and I didn't have a particularly good use for a legend for a long time until somebody said, Al, a legend is really just a detail view. The only difference is that you can put a legend on any number of sheets. Every other view, a plan view, a section view, you can only take that view and put it on one sheet. You'll recall when we put it on the sheet, it turned blue. So if I take this sprinkler schedule and try and put it on another sheet, it's going to yell at me and say, sorry, Al, you already used that. For every problem, there's a trick to get around it. If I wanted this schedule on 2 different sheets, I could duplicate the schedule. And now I have a sprinkler schedule and a sprinkler schedule copy 1. I could put this on one sheet and I could put that on the other sheet. The legend allows you to take lines and circles. And I used a north arrow as an example. I want to put a north arrow on every sheet. So I could create a detail view called a legend. I could create it to look like a north arrow, and then I could put that on any number of sheets. So view legend. There it is, legends legend. I'll call it quarter scale, and I'm going to call it north arrow. And then detail line. He's not yelling at me yet. I'm happy about that. There's my north arrow. I will rotate it just a little bit. And then I could go to my sheet. I'm going to go to the 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I'm going to find my legend for north arrow and drag it onto that sheet. And then I'm going to go to the 24 by 36. I'm in families. I thought I was looking at sheets. Here's 30 by 42. It's another sheet, and I can take the north arrow legend. So even though it was blue, saying that's already been put on a sheet, you're allowed to put it on multiple sheets. If I want just the north arrow and not the title, there's what kind of title do you want? And our template has got in it a title with a viewport with a title and a viewport without a title. So I can get the north arrow all by itself. Maybe some symbol legends. You want to say NTS means not to scale, and field cut means cut on job. You could write those notes, put them in a legend, and put that on each sheet as well. So
Hey, a quick question. When you did that copy of the sprinkler legend, like you were saying, if you wanted to show it on different sheets, would that
Yeah.
copied sprinkler legend update if you were to make changes, or do you have to go back to the original and recopy it if you change something?
Oh no, they will definitely update.
Oh, cool.
Legends, schedules are that kind of dynamic. They're a report of what's in the database, and the instant you change the database, the legend updates to that.
Yeah, gotcha. So it's kind of like it's looking for it separately. So even though it's named copy, they're just looking kind of through the same
Yes,
process. Gotcha.
yes. As long as we're there, I'll go a step further down that road. Occasionally, if you had that 12-story building, you'd like a sprinkler schedule on the 12th floor for the 12th floor stuff, and you'd like a sprinkler schedule on the 9th floor for the 9th floor stuff. That would be 2 copies of the same schedule, and within the schedule, you can say on the 9th floor, schedule 9th floor, I want to show only sprinklers that have been tagged as part of the 9th floor. And on the 12th floor, show only sprinklers that are on the 12th floor. And you can have another one that doesn't filter at all. So you're seeing all the sprinklers along with what floor they're a part of. That's typical enough. I think I might even want to go a step down there. Let me close some of these extra views here. So we had created a call out, and on the call out view, or on a sheet where I show the call out, I'd like to show a schedule of just the heads in the call out. So if I take those sprinklers, and specific for those sprinklers, I use a property called zone. There's also a property called HCAD system, but I'm going to pick a property that I can fill in special for those. So I'm going to say office area. Okay, and then I'm going to go take my sprinkler schedule. Schedules, sprinkler schedule. And I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to call it office sprinkler schedule. Okay, and now you see there's 44 sprinklers that haven't been identified, and there's 4 sprinklers that are identified as being in the office. In this schedule, I want to turn off the sorting. So it's sorting by zone. I'm going to make that just be by description, and I'm not going to sort it any other way. And fake me out sorting, sort by description, and put a footer on it, and then total it. Okay, so when the description changes now, it's putting a footer. That's a little annoying. I'm going to get rid of the footer. And I'm going to get rid of the blank line. Stripe, blank line, grid in headers, show headers. I don't know, maybe get rid of this stripe
Are you
thing.
just trying to get rid of the blank lines in between them?
Yeah.
Go to I think it's filter or sorting.
I'm going to go to sorting.
Yeah. See the blank line?
Blank line, there it is. I knew I was looking for blank line. I wasn't finding it. Thanks. So here's the sprinkler schedule that we created originally, and it's got all the sprinklers in the entire job. Then here's the sprinkler schedule. I called it office sprinkler schedule. And the office sprinkler schedule, I'm going to add a filter that says filter by zone, only the ones with a zone of office. And now I've got the 4 sprinklers in the office separated out. Was that helpful, Chris?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Perfect, thank you. And I see you can do it literally at the sprinkler level itself, so that's cool.
Yes. Somewhere around Revit 22 or 23, they added a feature to the and I'm not sure I'm going to find it in a hurry. Dave,
It's in
you
the
mean
it's in the filter tab.
filters?
Right at the bottom of it, it says
Yeah.
filter by.
So filter by sheet. So if you had the office just on its own sheet, you don't have to add a property. You could just say, take this schedule and put it on this sheet, and it'll reflect the sprinklers on that sheet. Take the schedule, same one, and put it on this sheet, and it'll only reflect the sprinklers on that sheet. That's cool. I'm hesitant to take full advantage of that because I might forget and I put the entire building and I put the expanded view of the office on the same sheet, and then it says I've got 52 sprinklers when I've really only got 48 actual sprinklers. There's 52 on the sheet, but 4 of them are counted twice. So if you keep that in mind, that's another cool feature. So there's drafting views and legends. And now I'm going to switch gears to talk about sloped pipe, but I'm going to include a couple of two different lessons in this. I want to show you how to use how to use a Revit project as a background. And using a Revit background instead of a AutoCAD background is virtually the same thing. You're saying, I'm interested in drawing sprinkler stuff. I don't want to be drawing walls and doors and windows and stuff. So I want to get that from somebody else. If the somebody else gives me an AutoCAD one, I'll put that in flat as a pancake and I'll draw my 3D sprinkler system over the top of it. If they give me a Revit one, I'm going to take the Revit model and insert that into my project and then create my 3D sprinkler model in that environment. The checklist to getting started, I wrote out here. It was part of our lesson 1, and I'm going to read it to you again here. But it's the same with a little more attention to the 3D-ness of what you're bringing in. So the checklist is the same as AutoCAD. If you're going to use 4 files as your background, open and get familiar with each of those 4 files. I'm going to do a Butler building. They sent me one file that had the Butler building in it. So I'm going to open that file and I'm going to look at it and say, what's here? What should I expect when I link this into my project? Then close it. And if in closing it, you're updating it, that's good. So you're not trying to link a different version Revit file. So open it and close it, but pay attention. Then start a brand new project, has nothing in it. Then import the latest toolbox so that it has the latest pieces and parts that are available. Then do a file save as. So far, you still got a blank project. Then link the Revit model. And I didn't add line your work up with their work, create some views, and you're on your way to modeling a sprinkler system. The creating the views is just a little bit more sophisticated if it's a Revit model, because the view has to not just pay attention to cropping, to leave this stuff, there's 2 sections in this view and I only want to see one. You can crop that out of an AutoCAD drawing. But in addition to the cropping, each view wants to pay attention vertically to what Revit calls the view range. How much of this vertical building do you want to see? Um, so, um, who was it that asked me? Michael, was it you said you built that 22-story building into a 3D model?
No.
No, who was that? Was that
That was me. That was John.
John? Um, so, um, so if you had tried to put them all in one drawing without messing with the insertion points and stuff, John, you really would have had to have like the first floor, and then 200 feet north of that, the second floor, and 200 feet north of that, the third floor. I can't think of another way to get multiple floors in an AutoCAD drawing, other than what you did is sort of composite a bunch of single floor drawings into one. Um,
Yes, with no backgrounds. That would have been a
yeah.
nightmare.
If it was all built like that and you looked at it, it would just be one massive black or multicolored gamushel.
Yes, yes.
Um, so in Revit, you have that huge multi colored gamushel, except you can say, I want to make a view called the first floor that ignores everything from the basement down and everything from the second floor up. So you're looking at the gamushel, but you're ignoring all that other stuff. That's the view range. You can make another view then that says, in the second view, I'm going to call it the second floor. I want to ignore everything below the second floor and everything above the second floor. And then that gamushel turns into just the stuff on the second floor. That's the gimmick. That's the trick that Revit can use to hold that entire 3D model, but show you bite-sized pieces that make sense. Is that almost an aha? That's cool. John, what do you think?
Yeah, that's kind of nice. That's very nice.
It's very nice.
Yes.
One of the things, like where you had to connect piping from the third floor to the fourth floor, you had to do a little bit of math or finagling to say, where is this pipe on the third floor?
Yes, it was not an easy thing to do. It
Yeah.
took a while.
In Revit, you could have that third floor view, and you could say, make the bottom of my third floor view be 10 feet or 5 feet below the third floor. And magically, the second floor piping would show up in that view. You could know where to tie into it and then move that view range back up to starting at the third floor, and you're hitting it exactly.
Yes,
And
that's nice. I'm thinking about the 2 or 3 days I took to do that, thinking, all right.
yes, yes. Okay, so again, I'm only going to be working with a one-story building here, but this view range you'll see comes into play. So once that's my first lesson in the green slides here is how do I use a Revit background? Once I've got the Revit background, I'm going to model some pipes that are following the steel on the slope, and I'm going to model some mains that are following the floor but pitched at a quarter of an inch in 10 feet. So let me get started on that. I'm going to go back to my working view, and I'm going to close all the other views, and I'm going to do a file save as, which I think I should have done a long time ago. And I'm going to get start of day, and I'm going to make it say end of day. And then I'm going to close it, and I'm going to follow that checklist. Okay, so new project. Day one, we went and added this template, so I can just say start. And I'm gonna file, help, import from the latest toolbox. And I'm gonna say just select everything in the toolbox and add it into my project. So select all, continue. And just while that's doing it, I'm gonna come back here and say, so I'm starting it. I'm cheating. I screwed up. I didn't follow my checklist. I'm starting a new project. I'm importing um, the latest toolbox that's written wrong, and I'm going to do a file save as, and then I'm going to close that, and I'm going to go open the warehouse, the Butler building, and take a look around and see what's what, and then I'm going to close the Butler building, and then I'm going to reopen this and link that Butler building in. So over here, why is he so shy? There we go. Well, good. Um, it'll be saved. I don't actually have to close it. I can go look at that other project and resave it and then link it in here. Um, when you import stuff from the toolbox, if there are schedules, the last schedule that comes in gets done. So I'm going to leave this be. This is my, I just imported. I didn't do a file save as yet. So I'm going to do that, file save as a project, and I'm going to call it FP Butler Building. And I'm going to put my name on the end of it. Okay, so nothing up my sleeve. This is a brand new project. The only thing in it is the latest toolbox stuff. And I'm going to leave it alone for a minute and go look at not import it, not link it. I'm going to go open and look at the Butler building project. So I'm going to go to File, Open. And in that folder that I sent you this morning in HES, HES basic training, in Revit projects is, I'm going to open this one, Butler Building 2022, and I'm going to resave it as 2023 because it's taking the time to do an upgrade. And when I link it, I don't want it to do an upgrade when it's linking, and then every time I open the project. So when it upgrades, sometimes there's some little things missing, and I've never found any of those things to be a problem. So I just closed that warning, whatever it is. Here's that Butler building. I'm going to look at the views that the architect made. He had a 3D plumbing view. Okay, so in the 3D plumbing view, I get a better sense of the building. So it's low at the north and south end, and it's got a peak down the middle running east and west, and it's flat from east to west and sloping from north to south up to the middle and back down. There's a set of elevations. I'll point out in the elevations that their floor is at 0, 0. That's important. I want my level 0 to my level 1 to be the same as their level 1. So when I bring their model in, it's visible. It's not up in the sky or buried way down in the ground or something. That's enough to give me a sense of what's going on. So I'm going to close all the extra views, and then I'm going to save this as a 23 project. So I'm going to add 23. It's in on mine, it's in Revit projects. I sent it out, I think, to go right in this folder. So your choice, whether you want to put it in the Revit Basic Training or Revit Basic Training Revit Projects. I'm going to add 23 to the name and save it. And then I'm going to close it. So I've got a sense for how big the building is, what's in it, and what level it starts at. That's why that's top on my checklist. Open the files to be linked. Then we've already started and saved our own file, and now we're going to link it into our own file. So I'm closing this. And in here, I'm going to go Insert, Link Revit. We did Link CAD 2 weeks ago. I'm going to do Link Revit. And in Revit Projects, I've got that Butler Building 2023. I'm going to pick Open. And just like our AutoCAD, it imported it. And where did it go? Dave taught me if I double click in the middle of the view with my mouse wheel, it'll zoom to everything that's on the screen. If that zooms and you got something like that way down in the corner, then their starting point is like way different from our starting point. And you've had that in AutoCAD, I'm certain of it. And the first thing I'm going to do is go get me lined up with them. So I'm going to take my grids and I'm going to move them from that intersection to this intersection. And it so happens they had a grid A and a grid A, but I had a grid 1 that I'm going to call 5 to line up with them. So this 5 is in the link, and I've got all the red X's down here, so I can't pick on it. And this 5 is in my project, and I'm going to make it at least long enough that I can. That line goes all the way through my building, and A, I'm going to make that long enough so it goes all the way through my building. If I create a section view, the section wants to go through the building and through that grid line, so I have a reference. Okay, and I already have a section view, and I'm going to ditch it. I'm just going to delete that. Okay. John, you recall when we looked at the project itself, we saw the steel, the trusses or the joists or the purlins or something. And now that I've inserted it, I don't see them anymore. Do you notice that?
I do.
Yeah. So regretfully, because this is a 3D model, there could be a number of excuses or reasons for that. One possible excuse is that I'm looking down on this from above, and what I'm seeing is the roof, and the roof is hiding the steel. That's one reason. Another reason is this could be a floor plan that I took that slice, that second floor to third floor slice, but the slice that I took might only be from the ground floor to 5 feet above the floor or something, and the steel isn't in there. Both of those, well, one of those relates to this visibility graphics. These are the 80 layers. They call them categories, but these are the 80 layers that can be turned on or turned off. The check mark means it's turned on. The lack of a check mark means it's turned off. And luckily, they called the roof a roof. And I'm going to turn the roof off. And I'm going to get all excited and say, ooh, maybe I'm going to see my stuff now. Darn, not yet. The other thing is that slice. I want to make sure that we're looking tall enough to see the steel. And that is down here under view range. And I'm going to click on view range. And by default, this came from our template. It says we want to see everything from level 1. We're at 0, they're at 0. I want to see everything from there up to 30 feet. Well, I didn't actually measure, but I'm pretty sure this building's not taller than 30 feet. So the steel ought to be in there. The last thing is a nuisance. It doesn't make as much sense as you'd like, but this cut plane has to be between 0 and 30 feet. And it says for all the stuff that's in that range, I want to define a plane that says how you're going to represent or how you're going to show that stuff. The easiest one to relate to is a window. The windows in your house, John, probably go from about 2 feet to about 6.5 feet. Agreed?
Sure. Yeah, just about.
So if I made the cut plane 1 foot, even though the windows are between 0 and 30 feet, the windows wouldn't show, the walls would show, but they wouldn't have windows in them at a foot. Does that make sense? So you wouldn't see them in the view.
I got you. Yep.
If I put this at 5 feet, now the windows would show up because the walls cut at 5 feet have got holes in them for the windows. If I put this at 8 feet, then the windows wouldn't show up again. Make sense?
Yeah, you're just cutting through a section of the wall vertically.
Right. Yeah. At a vertical location. I'm cutting
Yes.
through it horizontally and saying on this plane
Yes.
that's
Yes.
8 feet above the floor, what do the windows look like? And the answer at 8 feet is they look like a blank wall.
Okay.
The steel happens to follow that also. So I'm going to put this at 29 feet and say, oh, so the steel at 8 feet doesn't show up. It's in my view, but it's not represented by that plane that's cut through at 8 feet. Can you get your head around that?
Yeah, when I did 29 feet, mine just showed the roof though.
So let's go back to the um, visibility graphics for the view.
Uh, okay, where is that?
So escape, escape, escape,
Yep.
and just make sure that your mouse is like ready to draw stuff in the view.
Yep, it
And
is.
then if you look at the properties palette, it says the properties is for the floor plan.
Floor plan, right.
Okay. One of the properties is visibility graphics, and then click on edit. It's in that first group under graphics. Got it?
Uh, yes, got
And
it.
they
Okay.
should call that layer manager,
Okay.
and then we would recognize it. And this is a list of all of the layers that are allowed in a Revit project.
Okay. I missed that earlier. I'm sorry.
No
So
worries.
uncheck roof.
Uncheck roof. You don't want to see the roof.
Okay.
And then pick OK.
There it is. Yep. Gotcha.
Voila. Cool.
Yep.
Now, most of those, there's like a half a dozen gotchas. It's in there. I can't find it. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the other thing. I actually did my very best to get a lot of those out of the way. By on the view, if you scroll down to identity data, there's a view template. Do you see that? And it says none.
Yes, I see that.
Click on that, and it brings up a list of view templates. And take a minute and read those names and see if you can say, oh, this one really speaks to me. I'm certain this is the view template that I want to use.
Uh,
Or
Working floor without mechanical pipe would not be, I would say the first one.
the first one. I like that. I like it. So let's pick on that one. And
Okay.
when you do, look over on the right. You see that great big long list of stuff that shows up?
I do.
It says with that one name, FP working floor, with that one name, we're setting 127 different variables,
Hmm.
including, scroll down to view range. And do you see view range has a blue check mark? It says, whatever you just fixed, we're going to screw it up. We're going to change it to what's in this view template. So click on edit, and sure enough, that would screw it up because
Okay.
that's still back at 4. We're going to make that be 29.
All right.
And then let's also check visibility graphics, edit. And if you scroll down, I think we knew that roofs wanted to be off. Do I speak the truth?
And I'm trying to get to the, you went a little quick on the visibility graphic.
Sorry about that. From the top, it's like the first one that has the edit button next to it. It says VG overrides model.
Yes.
Click on that, edit.
And then get the roofs off.
And I'm saying they are already off.
They are. Yeah, it is.
It took me a long time to figure that out, John, but I said, you know what? I never want to see the damn roofs.
Okay.
So I put it in the view template to say, whenever I use this view template, I'm not thinking about the roofs anymore. They're just not going to show up.
Okay.
The view range is almost impossible to predict once and for all, because every building is a different height and it's got different stuff at different heights. So both of those are worth at least looking at when you use the view template. So far, so good.
Yes, sir.
And pick OK. And the really great news is if this was a 20 or 30-story building, I could go make another view and call it second floor and then just apply this view template. And make another view and call it third floor and apply this view template. I don't have to go setting the layers for every view. Okay, I'm going to go back to my checklist, which said, open the drawing, see what's in it, resave it. Then start your own brand new drawing. Make sure it's got the latest toolbox that's misspelled. Do a file save as, and then link your project. We did that. And then then I should have put on the list, set up some working views, and you guessed it right off. FP working is a good template to set up that view. Now I'm going to model some branch lines, and I think you saw that the roof was going up at some kind of a slope, probably 1 in 12 or so. And when we did the spacing and layout for our 60 by 80 foot warehouse, we said that the branch lines were 19 feet. We're going to use spacing and layout again, but I'm going to say that they're 14 inches below the roof rather than 19 feet above the floor. And then we'll create a section and take a look at it and see if we did good with that. So back to our Revit project. This is that peak, and I'm going to treat this bay between columns 1 and 3 and between A and B. I'm going to treat that like a room where the stuff is going up at whatever slope the roof is going up, and I want my branch lines 14 inches below that. So I'm going to go to HydroCAD, spacing and layout. Upright heads directly connected to the branch lines. And then I'm going to pick a sprinkler out of this list. I'm going to go to new head from selector. And I'm going to go to my favorites, and I'm going to pick that reliable upright, and then pick 200 and bronze. And then I'm going to pick select head. And I'm going to change the picture to just that open circle. Good. Then under expand head data, I want to go 0.15 using 7 pounds as a minimum. I want my spacing to be 130 square feet each. The branch line spacing isn't necessarily 15 feet, but can't be more than 15 feet. and the head spacing along the lines can't be more than 15 feet. And if I don't like where it's at, I could adjust a row of heads or an entire branch line 3 inches at a time by that specification. So I'm going to close that. And then over here under branch line data, I'm going to use lines welded. But over here, I'm not going to say 19 feet like we did before. I'm going to click on below top of steel and put in 1 foot 2. And I'll use 1.5 inch pipe. Lines welded. I got that out of this long list. And if I had sprigs, I'm claiming this should be grayed out because we're on directly connected. But since it's not, and if we had sprigs, I would use arm overs to welded lines and I'd make them 1 inch. Any questions on filling that out, John? You like it?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
When you do the pull down of the pipe type and it has all the different ones, is it possible to remove the old ones since like we have the updated, like for instance like the HCAD ones, since we use the HCAD 3s now?
Yes, but actually, if you look more carefully, there's no HCAD 1 welded line. There's an HCAD 1 arms to welded lines. And we made the arm overs different. Like on a welded line, you're going to use a grooved elbow at an elbow, but on an arm, you're going to use a threaded elbow. So, but if you wanted to delete those, if you said, I'm not using these 4 pipe types and it's confusing, I want to get them out of there, I will cancel this. And I'm going to go down to families. And under families is pipes. And under pipes is these pipe types. And I'm going to say PVC. That's plastic shit. We're not going to use that. And these are old, this fire protection 10 and 40. So I'm going to click on all of those. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit delete. And it just deleted them, but it would yell at you if there was already pipes of that type drawn in here.
Perfect, thank you.
So I'm going to go back to spacing and layout. And my head's still already picked. I like that. My spacing is still already specified. The pipe types are already picked. I like that. In here, this is grayed out. I can't slope the pipe because it's already sloped by being below top of steel. So nothing to see there. Now I'm going to pick 2 points. I've got a choice of pick a room or pick 2 points. If it's an AutoCAD background, you really have to pick 2 points. If it's a Revit background, you could pick a room, but you and I have good reason to go between column 1 and 3 and column A and B. The architect has no reason to call that a room. So I'm not going to do pick room. I'm going to do pick 2 points. And now I'm going to zoom in very, very carefully and find the intersection of column 1 and column A. And I'm going to pick right at that intersection as the first corner of this sprinkler area sprinkler area. And then I'm going to very carefully find the intersection of column 3 and B. And I'm lucky it doesn't actually show up, but when I hover in there, I'm getting an end point right in the middle of that column. And that came out with a proposal of 4 foot 3.5, 87, 87, 87, 87, and then 7, 6, 15, 7 foot 6. Did you get the same thing, John?
No, but I picked different intersections. I thought you said to go to column A1 down to B, whatever the next one down is.
B3, A1,
B3.
and B3. But I was very, very careful, so I got 7, 6, and 15 feet. If you didn't escape, I think that'd get you out. Cancel, and then just start the command again. Everything should be already filled out. You can do pick 2 points again. And I'm going to zoom in carefully and get A1. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go get 3B. And the dimensions help, and the fact that the sprinklers are showing up in that little bay area, I think is good confirmation of what's going on.
It's making my layout with a 6 feet apart with just a bunch of sprinklers.
Every sprinkler is 6 feet apart.
Correct.
Is it possible it's going for 100 square feet per sprinkler instead of 130? Let's pick the red button and then open up expand head data. And have you got 130 in there?
Correct.
Okay. And
Oh no, I'm sorry. My max coverage was 100, but my coverage area was 130. That was
okay. So this it's a little confusing. They should both probably say the same thing, but max coverage is used for calculating the spacing. This one is used, if it's checkmarked, this one will be used for the hydraulic calculations, regardless of the actual spacing. So you could say, I want to charge myself 130 square feet, even if they come out 120 or 115. I want to run the calcs at 130 so the installer can go move heads, and so long as he doesn't go over the 15 feet or the 7'6" off of a wall, we've already got them covered in the calcs. All right, then if you pick continue, I think it'll respace those heads and you're back to closer to what I had, yeah?
Yep, that worked. Thank you.
Super. Anyone else have questions here? I'm going to pick the green button and accept that. Okay, and now we're back to the problem that Michael asked about. How come those heads are so tiny? And that was you, Michael, that asked that, yes?
Yeah, correct.
And I don't know, I'm zoomed in and I guess I can I'm zoomed in and I'm sort of picked on the sprinkler. I can get you and I know that sprinkler is tilted relative to the floor. It's parallel to the roof. It's not parallel to the floor. And Revit made a law for their tools that says, if an object is parallel to the view that you're in, we will show the symbol associated with it. And that symbol is a foot in diameter. The sprinkler doesn't have a foot in diameter or anything, but it makes it easier to see if you represent it with that 1 foot circle. But if it's not parallel to the floor, like if it's in a section or an elevation view, you don't want to be seeing that extraneous line. So they shut it off. Do you know how to, we sort of covered this already, but do you know how to fix it now? Or would you like me to remind you?
If you could remind me.
I'm going to pick a window around all of them. And I'm going to go to HydroCAD Pretty Sprinklers. What do you think?
And sorry, could you show how we set that steel height again? How we're going down that 1'2" from?
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to go to spacing and layout. And it was over here in the branch line data that I said below top of steel, 1'2". If this says above finished floor, then this wants to be something like 19 feet or 14 feet or something. But below top of steel, 1'2".
Oh, okay. Oh, and it's only knowing that top of steel because of the Revit model showing it as steel, I guess. Sorry.
You're only allowed to do that if there's steel to measure from. So because it's a Revit model, we've got, and literally it's finding the roof. It's not finding the actual steel, but it's measuring down from the bottom of the roof.
Yeah, gotcha. For whatever reason, when I'm running it, I see the sprinklers, but it seems like it didn't actually give me the pipe.
Okay. So I left this out for you. There's an overall tool that sometimes you want to space the sprinklers and come back and do the pipes later. And you could uncheck that and say, just do the sprinklers.
I gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, I just had it set to insert branch lines instead of insert all pipes. And yeah, now insert all pipes.
Okay, great.
Works. Thank you.
So on my slide, I said we did one. I'm going to clean up the ends and then just take that bay and say that's typical to the other side of the building and it's typical for all three bays. So even before I go move it all around or copy it all around, I want to check the results. So I'm going to go to a section view.
Real quick, Alan, to a little piggyback on the small head with the tag. I understand like putting the tag on and stuff, but say you needed to now adjust per like just like make small adjustments to those heads. If you move the sprinkler tag, that doesn't affect the sprinkler, so it's just hard to like make sure you're actually moving the sprinkler. Is there a way to like just make that sprinkler symbol not small like that, or is it just there's nothing we can do for that?
I'm plenty thick-skinned, but you wound me. I'm so damn proud of our tag that I figured out an impossible problem. Revit said you can't do this, and I figured out how to do it. And now you don't like it. But I will point out you probably want to go ahead and get used to the fact that the sprinklers don't show up the way you want them to. And just like tag pipe or pretty sprinklers, leave that when you're getting ready to plot. That way, if you do need to make an adjustment, you're going to make the adjustment on the head, and the head will adjust the pipe and the fitting and all of that. And then later, go ahead and put the sprinkler tag on. However, if the sprinkler tag's already there, then just pick a window around it and move everything, including the sprinkler tag. But it's just a matter of getting used to, if you just pick on the tag, all you're moving is the tag. Erase if the tag moves and that's not what you wanted, then erase the tag. You don't need the tag until the bitter end. You with me?
Yep, got it. Thank you.
All right, Al, we're going to go backwards. How do I get that tag on there again? I tried to follow, but.
Yep. You need to pick a big old window around
all of it, right?
And then go to HydroCAD and bullseye, pretty sprinklers.
Oh, okay. Well, that was easy. Wait, the following tags are not loaded in this project. Could not be shown.
You forgot to do the toolbox thing early on. Not too late.
It's not too late. I'll catch up. Move on. Okay. I got you.
All right. I'm going to create a section view here that shows that one branch line, and I want to make the section view deep enough that I can see this main also. And then I'm going to go right click, go to view, or find the section view in my project browser and double click on it over there, or just double click on the bubble. Those are three ways to get to that section that I just created the line for. And I'm going to zoom in. I thought I saw that funny thing. I wound up with groovelets instead of pipelets, where I connected my branch lines to my mains. And that's an egregious enough error. I don't think I'm going to try and fix it. I'm simply going to do it over before I continue. So I'm going to pick a window around all those guys. I'm going to delete them, and I'm going to go back to spacing and layout. and I've got my heads, my spacing. This said I screwed up. I made the branch lines FP mains welded. Shame on me. I'm going to make them lines, redo that, lines welded. And then everything else I think is fine. I'm going to be a little bit quicker, but just as careful and pick those two very important points. And then finish and recheck the schedule, recheck the section, and sure enough, there I've got a pipelet. This pipe is lines welded, and the head looks like it's right up against that steel, which I'm saying is totally not a problem. The steel is 7 feet away from me, and it shows that I'm obviously below the purlins. So I'm just plain good to go. I'm within, there's no way I'm not within 12 inches. I should be able to put a dimension from there to there, and I'm within 10. My deflector is within 10 inches of the bottom of the roof. We're good to go. Okay, I'm going to click on that open-ended pipe and use the HydroCAD edit button to say cap open ends. That goes 6 inches and puts a cap. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. 6 inches and a cap. And the other end I'm going to leave dangling for now. I'm going to run the cross main all around the outside of the building at the low end of the building. And then I'll connect those branch lines into that main. Everyone with me so far?
Yeah, real quick, when you say below top of steel, I guess in that BTS button,
Yeah.
what steel is it looking at? Is it just looking for like the very highest steel?
It's probably better. I'm used to saying below top of steel. That's just in my tongue does that. But it's probably better to say top of structure, and the structure that it's looking for is a roof or a floor. So from wherever it's going to put a sprinkler, it says, oh, here's a good place to put a sprinkler. Let me look up until I bump into a roof or a floor. And then I'm going to measure down 1'2" from that.
So, and it'll be from the bottom of the floor or the roof?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, nothing counts as much as remember that stuff and use it in filling out that dialog box, and then check it. Like after you do it, don't go crazy and put it in a million places. Check it and then go crazy and put it in a million places. Okay. I'm not going to do the pretty sprinklers now. I'll do that later. But I am going to take a window around those two branch lines. And in the Modify ribbon, Modify panel is a button. There's two buttons for mirror. One is mirror, and I'm just going to give you a line to mirror about. And the other one is I'm going to mirror, but I'm going to pick 2 points to define the line to mirror about. I'm claiming I have a line, so I'm going to pick mirror by picking an axis. And the command line in AutoCAD was at the bottom, and it asked you to type letters and stuff. That moved to this status bar, except in 26, it moved to the blank space over on the right. But this mirror wants to mirror the stuff and copy it. So I'm telling it to copy it. And now I'm picking on that column line 3, and it mirrored it from the bottom of the building up to the top of the building. I'm going to pick a new window around both branch lines, or 4 branch lines altogether. And then I'm going to use that mirror button that says pick axis, and I'm going to pick on column B. And it did the mirror, and it already selected the stuff that was mirrored. So I'm going to pick that same button again, pick an axis, and I'm picking on column C, and poof, I've got branch lines all over the place. And if this were a dry system, they're gonna drain just fine. So we're good on that so far. Any questions there? So we did our space below top of steel, we checked it in a section, and then we mirrored it to get it into the rest of the building. And now I'm gonna, if I was under a flat roof, I would be doing a similar thing to what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do the mains, and I'm going to get the mains sloping 1/4 of an inch and 10 feet. But if this were a flat roof and I was trying to do a dry system, I'm thinking I would have um, purposely unchecked that thing that said insert all pipes, and I would have just spaced the sprinklers like 1 foot below the ceiling. And then I would draw the branch lines like I'm about to draw the mains. I would slope them 1/2 an inch and 10 feet. Then I would draw the mains and I would slope them 1/4 of an inch and 10 feet. And then I would connect the way we're going to connect the lines into the mains. I would use that, but the lines are sloped for just dry slope. And I could connect the lines with riser nipples, or I could connect them right into the side of the main. Once the lines were sloped and in the right place, I would then connect the heads to the branch lines, and each individual head would move up or down to get into that sloped branch line. And I'd have slope lines and slope mains following the rules for draining. But let me show it to you. I talked you through it. I'm going to show it to you on the mains here. So I'm going to use the section to say where would be a good place, where would be a good high place for my farthest spot on the main, and then I'll slope down from there to get to the riser, and then from the riser I'll slope back up to get to the far end on the close side. All right, so section, I'm saying I have a section here. I'm going to move it up so I can see at this end of the building. And if I go look in that section, here's my branch line, and I've got to get underneath this thing with the main. So I'm going to take a dimension from the floor level to, if I'm careful, I can find a little dot there. If I'm convinced there's a dot and I want to get him to find it, I can usually hit the tab key. So I was hovering in that area and I hit the tab key, and I'm measuring now from the floor parallel to the, or perpendicular to the floor, to the lowest point on that steel. And that's 14 foot 0.5. So if I put my main at 14.6 and it got lower and lower and lower, it would always clear those beams. So back here, I'm going to start a main. And John, do you remember the command to draw a pipe?
Yes, but I forgot. No, I
You
don't.
know the command. Plato said that we know
Sorry,
everything when we're born.
I'm trying to catch up, and I was measuring.
PI.
So
PI. Okay, so I'm going to type PI.
yeah, okay.
And then there's 4 things we got to pay attention to. The diameter, I'm going to make it 4 inch. The height, I'm going to make it 14. I'm going to make it 13.6. The type, I don't want arms to threaded lines. I want mains welded. And the system. And down here it says it's in fire protection. I could make it fire protection dry if I could find it. All right. But All that's really important is that it says fire protection something. And now a new thing, by default, when we draw a pipe, it's flat. There's no slope. I'm going to say I want to slope down. So there's a button for slope down. And over here is how much. I want to slope down a quarter of an inch in 120 inches, or a quarter of an inch in 10 feet. Then I can start up near column A1, and I'm going to go almost to column D, and then I'm going to come down to column 1, and then from here I'm going to go flat. I'm going to turn the slope off and just go to the right a little bit, and then change the height. But you see I'm down to 13'0" in a little bit, almost 13'1", and I started at 13'6", but that's because it was sloping down a quarter of an inch 10 feet. Now I'm going to go to -5 feet and draw outside the building. So that gave me an up and down pipe. So it went over flat, went down, and went out flat. Now I want to go from here. I want to be sloping up. And I'm going to type PI again. I don't know. I still want 4-inch. I guess I could go from 13'1", and then mains welded and fire protection dry. But I'm going to slope up now a quarter of an inch in 10 feet. And let me see if I get away with picking on that thing to get a T, and then heading down this way. To get to the other end of the building. And it's 13.3 1/8 at this end. It's sloping a quarter in 10 feet, and it's 13.1 1/64 at this end. And it created a T there. I'm going to say I sort of cheated. I picked on that pipe and I saw that it was at about 13.1, so I started drawing at 13.1. If I didn't cheat, I could have drawn it not connected and say, take that slope pipe and connect it into this slope pipe, and it would have raised it up to tie in to make the T. Any questions on that so far? And Dave, I just want to thank you for telling me about making those things readable.
Oh, yeah.
They were wicked tiny, and now my old eyes can see them just fine. All right. So now I guess I want to show off for Hydrotech here. If I take Revit, when you take a high pipe and you connect it into a low pipe, Revit will put an up and down pipe to connect them. So I'm going to take this pipe and drag it shorter until it lines up with that other pipe. And I didn't quite get it. Now I've got it. And it connected in. So I should be happy that it's connected. But let me draw a little section there and show you why I'm not quite as happy as I should be. Revit said, oh, here's a low pipe. Here's a high pipe. You're tying that high pipe into the low pipe. I'll go draw straight down into it. So this is a 94-degree elbow or something. It's not a 90-degree elbow. And if it's a firelock elbow, you will not be able to make that up. If I go to the dimensioning annotation and I put an angle on that, yeah, 95 degrees. So even if you made it a flexible, if you used flexible couplings there, you couldn't get 5 degrees out of that. So we're not going to do that. Let me close this. let me undo this. There. Instead, one little bit further, there we go. Instead, I'm going to use a Hydrotech tool that says connect pipes. So HydroCAD and connect pipes. And we used this one the other day in our 60 by 80 foot warehouse to connect the high branch lines to the low main. But here, I'm going to run over till I'm lined up with the main and then go into the main. And if I use that button, the prompt says pick a pipe, that's the main, and then pick a branch line or multiple branch lines. I'll do 2 for now, and then finish. So in the plan view, it looks pretty much like the same thing. But if I create that section again, that thing is an actual 90-degree angle. Annotate angular from there to there. So the installer's got to bend it back a little, don't go straight up, go at an angle that will allow that 90 to be connecting the riser nipple and the branch line at the top.
You entertain me for a second here, Alan?
Yeah.
Can you go to your mechanical settings? Is your pipe angle set to 90 degrees only? You go into manage, I think it's manage mech settings.
Okay, so we'll go try it out over here, yeah?
Yeah.
So
it'll tell me if it was doing it or not.
MEP
go
settings.
There, and then mech settings, and then go to pipe angles. Yeah, so if you set that to use specific angles, the button below, and then you say only what you want. So just uncheck everything except 90, and then let's see if it works without you using your shortcut.
Okay, all right.
I'm not that experienced with pipe, but I'm just wondering if this will work.
I think I need to get a little bit short and then come back to get it to light up that pipe.
Yeah.
And then we'll move our section over to there.
Yeah, so it worked that way too. Okay.
Cool. Let's check it one more way. I'm going to put a section here.
Yeah, so it didn't quite do it that way.
Okay. Thanks for reminding. I've seen that, and I'm going to say I've used it, but then forgotten about it.
Your way's a little better though.
But thanks for reminding me of that. Thanks for scaring the bejesus out of me, Dave, because that was a bitch for us to do the math to make that happen. Because it's actually, it's sloping in both directions. So you can't go straight down east to west, and you can't go straight down north to south. You've got to go twist in both directions in order to get them all 90 degrees. If I had seen or remembered this, I might have said, yeah, most of the time that's going to be close enough, because you can get 0.2 degrees out of that coupling easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at least I can say, yeah, it was not for naught. We did precisely the the exact right thing on that.
Yep.
So I've done 3. I'm going to call that one Dave's one close enough, and I'm just going to go do the other 3 here. So I'm going to go back to connect pipes. Run over and then connect in. So into this, connect that pipe, and that pipe, and then finish. And then I'm going to do that again at the top here, connect pipes, run over and connect in. I'm going to connect to this one. I can pick them one at a time, or if you're a macho stud propeller head, you can pick a crossing window to get the rest of them and then finish. And so I lost these when I picked. I didn't hit control and pick on the other ones. So I'm not a macho stud propeller head. I'm just going to go ahead and pick those and finish. All right, then we've got a blank end needs to get cleaned up over there. And the blank end down here needs to get cleaned up. And then I'm going to pick a window around everything, and I'm going to pick on pretty sprinklers. And I'm just going to do a 3D view here. And if in this view I use that, not render settings, it had edit, I wanted to go to the view template, and I'll use FP3D and see if that does it. It doesn't. I'm going to try working. And then I'm going to say I want to be done with the roof. So edit the visibility graphics, go find those roofs and turn them off. All right. You ready to do battle with that clubhouse, John?
I don't know. Are we going to be able to do that in 45 minutes?
That's how long it's going to take you to do it in AutoCAD?
Oh, no. I'm
No.
saying.
Are you ready to take it? Not me.
Oh, not us in this. No, I'm not yet. I'm still trying to get familiar with this environment. So uh, it's hard to do this when you're very busy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go, I got it in AutoCAD. I can do it in 10 minutes. So fighting that battle.
All right. Let's get back to our slides. I think we had one more topic to talk about, and I'm going to show you just flex heads kind of all by themselves, and then Chris or Phil, I think, asked me about flex heads down to elbow connections at the ceiling instead of straight connections at the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. So that we don't list the coupling because we like to use elbows.
Yeah. So it's for you, it's as much or more about what gets stock listed as what gets modeled.
Yeah, primarily. I guess a little bit of both because it'd be nice if we could model that way for coordination purposes, but
Yeah.
mostly interested for the list, I suppose.
So let me show you flex heads first. Then I'm going to show you how spacing and layout can do more configurations than are available in the spacing and layout pictures. And then how I created a special picture for that elbow fitting on the flex head. And then I'm going to take a breath and get your comments on that, Phil. and say, ooh, that's so cool. Can we check the calcs in the listing? I didn't for my brand new custom fitting, but I kind of didn't because I'm not sure I modeled it the way you wanted to model it, and I wanted to know that before I finish up the calcs in the listing. But let's do all three of those things. Flex heads, just how do they work and how can I use them? Number two, the spacing and layout gives me custom configurations that I can use. And there's a couple of those in the toolbox. And then Al used that custom configuration to do a flex head that had an elbow at the bottom instead of a straight coupling. And then we'll come up for air and have a little bit more conversation. And then I've got some more things that we put on our to-do list before we started. So I'll get back to that. So first, I'm going to close this project. So I'm closing all the other tabs. And then when I close this project, it'll ask me, do I want to save? And I'm saying yes. And then I'm going to go back to the end of the day 5 end of day project. I think that says end of day, but I might be safer just to go find it in CHES basic training. Lesson 5, end of day.
Hey, Alan, quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've noticed that I always get a bunch of like Revit files in my folders, like it's like 0.0078.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
what is the deal with that?
Perfect time to talk about it. Here, I've got one here, and I've got another one here, and I've got another one here, and one there, one there, and one there. These are backup files. Every 20 minutes or so, it says, do you want to save? You say yes. So it saves it, but before it saves it, it makes one of these 0.000 files. AutoCAD does that also, but there's a very hidden place where those backup files get created. So you don't see them, you're not bothered by them, but if you ever need one, you'll spend forever trying to find it. These are quite obvious. The backup file is the same place as your real file. Knowing that, you only ever want to use the practice of day. You don't want to use the practice of day.0001. I might have said all that needs to be said on this. Do you see this? Practice of day 0003 is dated 12/24, or the time is 12/24, and this one is 12/50.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So they're just backup files that you can just delete.
Files, and you can just delete them. But you can just delete them. You can also do a star 00 star .rvt. It's not a very good star to start with. And you see, I found a whole bunch of them. I can get rid of them all at the same time. I'm finding only things that are those 00 files. But that's a little bit of house cleaning you need to do with that. But wow, if you ever need one, it's way easier than AutoCAD. You've got a backup and a backup to the backup and a backup to the backup. They won't just keep numbering up forever. They'll only cycle up to a number that Dave probably knows exactly where that is in the file options.
Yeah, option. No, when you go to a file save as, when you do that.
Oh, it's in the options for file save as. File save as. And then there's options in here.
No, file. No, Go like you're actually going to save the file.
File, save as a project.
And then in the bottom of that screen where it says options.
Oh, that option.
Maximum limit backups.
So you might get an 08, 09, and 10. And then it'll start over on 08. Got it?
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to erase the overhead sprinklers and just pretend like I'm treating this as an office space. With the ceiling at 8 feet, I'm going to put my pipe at 10 feet. And I'm going to use flexible connections. So I'm going to go to HydroCAD, spacing and layout, and I'm going to use pendants, and I'm going to go over and down. I'll use the kind of the default stuff that's in here. That's okay. And I've got a reliable, I don't want an upright, I want a pendant recessed. All right. And then over here, I'm going to use 1¼ welded lines at 10 feet. And now for the special sauce over here, I'm going to say, I want to go I want to use a 3-foot flexible hose. My arm over, I'll make 1'3", and I'm going to use arm over pipe, but kind of replace 3 feet of it with dial in a guy that says flexible sprinkler with bracket. Then I'm going to pick 3 points. And the bracket, I think I'm just looking for somebody to blame. Dave might have messed me up when he made those words bigger. The words and the little spinny picture went together. So rather than use the spinny picture, which would let me rotate that bracket, I'm going to go ahead and pick on all 4 brackets, or select all brackets in view. And then down here is an angle, and put them at 90 degrees. And then if we go look at that in a 3D view, I'm going to select all of these. They have a 50-50 chance of coming in right side up. I'm going to select all of these in the view, and there's a button to reverse the angle of that. Now, if you're doing this also for coordination, and somebody says that hose needs to move in order to avoid a collision, there are 2 shape adjusters that kind of come with each flexible hose, but it's more effective, and I'll do it in a section. It'll be way more effective in a section. Because in a 3D view, you don't know for sure what you're moving. And here's those same shape adjusters, but right click, you can say add, insert a vertex, and now that vertex is a place you can use to move the shape around. So I'm going to add another vertex there. Okay, so that's the standard. Anyone have thoughts or comments or questions on that? Let me go one step beyond that, and I'm going to disconnect the heads. Configure head, disconnect heads. Okay, so now I have a branch line and I have heads, but it's not like you have to use spacing and layout, and that's the only way you can get flexible connections. You can You can do the more conventional layouts. I want the heads there, 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 and there. I'm going to run my branch line here. Now I want to connect those heads into those branch lines. So you would use spacing and layouts brother called configure head. And I would go to pendant. Let me do it down, over, and down. I'm going to use arms to welded lines. The drop can be measured from the head. So it's like I'm going up a foot, over, and then up into the branch line. That becomes that. If I do this, then I'm going down from the branch line a foot and then over and the rest of the way. And then in here, I'm going to dial in that sprinkler with the bracket. I'm going to use flex. And I'm only going to use 18 inches of flex. And then I'm going to say connect heads. Connect those two heads into that line and those two heads into that line. And it went 18 inches and then put a coupling and then used hard pipe for the rest. So depending on how long you make that, you can get that connection to wind up there, or you could get it to wind up on a coupling here, or you could get it to wind up right at the branch line. Okay, that's kind of the easy way. And those two, spacing and layout and connect heads, are pretty much the easy way to get the flexible connections to run. They're a little bit more difficult to do manually, to say, I want a flex pipe from here to there. My experience is that works way better in a plan view than it does in a section or a 3D view. And that might just be my experience, but because I had good experience there and not so good experience in 3D or section view, that's my recommendation. Anyone have questions or comments on that before I show you trying to get fancy and make this thing be an elbow?
Can you show on the pick 3 points? What is the third point that you pick?
The first 2 points define the area that you want to space in. So it's like the range or the scope. How big of a room are we working on? That third point is the actual intersection of two grid lines. That's how it knows to put the heads
Oh, the
in the
grid
center
lines.
of the
Okay.
grid. Yeah. If you have a Revit background and you pick light or pick room, it's only one pick and it's able to find the scope, how far you want to run that, and from the ceiling or from the light it can figure out the starting point. Okay, so next I want to show you that our spacing and layout and our configure tool, for that matter, have got a lot of pictures, up, over, and down, over and down, over and down. Who knew that there could be more? But an example of a more is go up, go over, don't put an elbow and go down, but put a T and put a plug in the T and go down, so that there's room for that dry pendant head. So this thing got defined as a new kind of sprinkler where this and this and this are variable, but that the configuration includes that T with a plug in it. And I'm going to show you using it, and then I'll point to the instructions if you want to create it, and I will actually show one that I created specifically for Phil yesterday. So first, let me show you we already have one in the toolbox and you can use that. So off to the side, I think I'm not cropping the view, so I'm just going to put some sprinklers over here off to the side with spacing and layout. And we have sprinklers that are in my project, and I have 30,000 sprinklers that I can get from this head selector, or I can say select a group, and I've created 3 groups that are in the warehouse. One that's a head with a bushing in it for future installs, and another with a 3/4 inch, a 1 by 3/4 bushing, and then one that's the dry pendant. So I'm going to pick that configuration. You kind of have to know something about how that was built to know how to use it. That was built around this up, over, and down idea. And I think the rest I can just go ahead and fill in. So I'm going to use 8 feet for the ceiling. I'm going to use 10 feet for the piping. I'm going to go up, over, and down. I'll pick 3 points there, and I'm making up one in the middle. And okay. So if I look at that in 3D, it did the up, over, and down, but the group included this T with a plug so that you could customize the shape. If we did that kind of thing in the spacing and layout pictures, you'd wind up with so many pictures here, you'd never be able to actually settle on one. So that was our way of saying it's one of these, and if it's not, it can be anything, and you use that group to do that. So let me point to the instructions for that. In the help, I cannot read anywhere near this quickly, but I read this the other night and found a place where it said we're talking about the group button. Additional help for the head selector. Groups will be located here for you to select, and there's a PDF on how to use a group. And I'm not going to read this to you. I'm just going to say you can create, you just go in a section view and create the connection that you want. So here was another example. I want to be able to go up, over, and down. I think on the West Coast, I've heard this called a rooster tail. We're putting this there for the above combustible concealed space, and then we're going over and down to get below the combustible concealed space. So you could draw this out, call it a group, and then call this use this as the sprinkler head instead of the sprinkler head itself, and it'll draw that whole extra thing. So using these instructions, I created another drawing. I'm going to leave this one and close the extra views and open the drawing I sent you that I created yesterday. So I'm going to go to File, Open. It would be my plan to put this in the toolbox, but I didn't put it in the toolbox, Phil, because I kind of wanted your input and say, yeah, that's what I was looking for, or no, that's not even close. So I had kind of what you were hoping for before I put it in the toolbox for everybody. So this drawing that I sent you has got in it a section, and it might open to the section or it might open to a plan view. Okay, so this is a section view, and I drew this thing with an elbow. I looked up in the cut sheet for the Victolic Aquaflex, or the VicFlex, I guess, the VicFlex, and they said that the dimension from here to the top of here was 7 1/4 inches. So this thing is modeled to be 7 1/4 inches. And then I've got a flex that goes either to this elbow or to a place along this horizontal, and then goes up into the bottom of the branch line. How am I doing, Phil? Is that looking like what you might be interested in, or nope, you wanted to come over here, come up and do a 360 loop and come into the top of the pipe, or what?
It wasn't me that was asking for this. I
Ah,
think it might have been Chris.
Oh, yep, that was me actually here.
okay. So am I close, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. I guess more specifically, I think you kind of touched on it when you were talking a little earlier. What I was looking for is right now, like even in the connections you're showing here, it shows the flex go to like a 1-inch coupling and then like a nipple going into the elbow. What I was seeking to say is, hey, can we get the flex to just go straight into that 1-inch elbow and always kind of
Yes.
ignore that arm over?
Yes. And that is here. This thing wants to be 1.5 to 3.5 inches less than what I drew this at. I drew this at 2'2". I made two of them. One where this from the head to the branch line is 2'2", kind of by random. And then I made another one where it was 1'6" from the head to this thing. But if you put the arm over length, if you specify the arm over length as 10 foot 10.5, you'll get a very short flex. If you put it in as 1.5 inches, this thing will be right over here next to the coupling, next to the elbow.
Gotcha. And would it still like, and I guess sorry, does it list a 1-inch coupling for that, or would it not list it in that case?
Like I said, I wanted to get your feedback first before I chased the calcs and the listing.
Yeah, gotcha. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, more or less, of just saying, hey, push that all the way to the elbow so we can just come straight off that drop.
Okay. So when I put this in, I'm going to say that the arm over length is, I'm going to use the short one, 1'6" as opposed to 2'2". Yeah, or do you like the 2'2" one better?
No difference to me.
Either one. So I'm going to use the 1'6". My line is 1'6" off of the head, and I'm going to put the arm over length in as 1.5 inches. That'll get this thing back right up to there. Then the other thing in kind of fixed as part of the group was how high this thing was. My first schwack was 1'4", and my second schwack to prove that I could do it was I made it 1'0". And then I said, when you put this in, you make the arm over 1.5 to 1'10". For the short one, you make it 1.5 to 1'2.5". And in either case, I want this elbow like right down on the straight part there. To get that elbow down there, I'm going to put in the height of the branch line minus the ceiling height. That's like the total drop length minus 7.5 inches. So first, let me get this group, this one. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to go back to my project, and in my project, I've got legends, I've got schedules, I've got sheets, I've got families, and I've got groups. And under groups, I have model groups. And these were the three that I showed you a minute ago. If I go to the modify paste from clipboard, it just says some stuff is the same as what I've already got. And now I've got an additional group in here. That's this short elbow. And I'm going to go, I'll do them over here. We'll do the spacing and layout again. And I'm going to do down, over, and down. And I'm going to use a group, but the group is going to be that short elbow. My ceiling height is 8. My branch line height is 10. That makes 2 feet for the total length. 2 feet minus 7.5 inches is 1'4.5". So I want the drop to be 1'4.5". And the arm over, I'm going to make O space 1.5. And I was showing you that. Now I'm actually doing it. Do you remember my pointing those numbers out and why I'm putting that in here?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to pick 3 points. I'm going to select all instances visible in view and change that by 90 degrees. And I don't know whether they have to be turned right side up or not, but let's go take a look at one.
Al, Dave, and I have to drop off. We have a place we have to go to.
Well, thanks so much for being a part of this
Yeah,
class. I can't think of a class I've delighted more in working with. You guys are um, upfront, honest, conscientious. Thanks for being a part of this. And
sure,
I'll,
absolutely.
I'll get the rest of the recording done and I'll send that out later tonight. Any questions come up, any help you need, please let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Al.
you, guys.
Thanks, guys, everybody that was on the class.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so what do you think, Chris? We're pretty close.
Yeah, that's looking pretty close here for sure.
Now, if you want the elbow and you just plain don't want the coupling, I rigged it so that I could smush the coupling up to the elbow, but I could redo the model without the coupling at all and have it go right into the elbow.
Gotcha. And that's inside
Right,
of your group then
right.
we'd be
I was
taking that
following
out?
those
Gotcha.
instructions for how do you make a group. And I had to do it and get it messed up and do it again and get it messed up, but figure out what was messed up. And then I got it to work. After I got it to work, I created this cheat sheet so that when I went to use it again a month from now, I'd have a clue what to put in.
Right, right. And then I guess the head that it's selecting, is that also you put that head in when you did the group?
I do.
Gotcha.
Um, and if I want a different sprinkler, then I put them, and actually it's a good idea to use a generic sprinkler so that when you're done, you can say swap all those flex head sprinklers for reliable recessed pendant whatevers.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because you can't go making a group for every kind of sprinkler you're ever going to use. So use, and that's what those couple of generic ones are that are in there. Over here, when I go to spacing and layout, these sprinklers, HCAD, dry pendant, HCAD upright, pendant recessed, these are just generic ones. And if I use that in the group, then I can get the group in, it's got the sprinkler in, and then I can say, take all those pendant sprinklers and make them Tyco T107s or something.
Gotcha. And that's inside of the schedule, right? We are changing that.
You
It's
can
just
do
going
it
to
in
say
this,
this.
yeah, you could
Gotcha.
hunt it down in the schedule and say hide, highlight and view, and then just pick a different family and type.
Awesome. Thank you.
Super. So you already have this drawing, and if you follow my cheat sheet, I kind of appreciate if you would do that on on a sample project or something, and report back to me. And I'm empowered to maybe move on. I want to make sure it doesn't mess up the calculations or it doesn't give us grief when we're trying to do the listing. I'll check those things and then plan on putting it in the toolbox.
Yeah,
That
appreciate it.
the toolbox, by the way, um, you will know if I put that in the toolbox because there's a button that says revisions, and if you click on that revisions, it says what I added to the toolbox this time, the last time, the previous time, and if you see one that says custom elbow flex heads or something, there will be a video with it that would include that cheat sheet, so you not just know that I made one, but how I meant for you to use it.
Yeah, perfect.
Super.
Thank you.
I'm going to start a notepad. And start a new thing and type out coordination. Piping configurations. Down, over, and down. No, down, over, up. Break over branch line. Move entire system. Up or down. All right. My flex pipe. So we talked about flex pipes, standard flex pipes, but huge drawing. Okay. Anyone else have something occur to them while we were talking about all this other stuff?
Can you show how to, if we just place the heads without the pipe, how do we connect the head to the
Sure.
pipe?
Locate heads. Draw pipe. Connect. Good deal. I'm not saying I already showed you that, but I'll remind you, I did sort of show you that. I disconnected the heads in that office, and then I used connect head to pick the heads and connect them back in. I'm going to show you again, but do you remember me doing that?
Yeah, I was trying to find the connect head button, but I can only
It's
find
hiding pretty
configure.
good. Yeah, it's hiding pretty good. So we'll leave it on we will put it on the list here and go do it again. All right, let me go do some of these things. So I'm going to go down, over, and down. I'm going to break over a line. So back here, um, now I think you guys know this pipe is at 10 feet and this pipe is at 19 feet. So I could go over at 19 and down to 10, or I could go over at 10 and come up to 19. If I click on this pipe, I could just type PI and I could create a welded line at 10 feet and do that. Suppose if I created one at 15 feet, then it would come up to 15, come over here and come back up to 19. Or if I want a pipe at 10 feet, I can click on this one and say create similar. That's the same thing as typing PI and automatically typing in the inch and a quarter, the 10 feet, the lines welded, and the system. Uh, system. So I'm drawing a 10-foot pipe from there to there. And then predictably, this is over and then it's up. Over here, I'm going to take and create similar on this one. So now I'm drawing a 19-foot pipe straight over and then down and into there. Okay, now in trying to get in there, I want to get this enough out of my way that I could say, oh, there's a beam here and I need this pipe to go down under the beam and then back up. I'm going to take a bite out of that pipe. I'm going to do CP for coupling, manual coupling, and I'm going to put a coupling on either end of that pipe. So I've broken the pipe into 3 pipes. If I erase those couplings, this is one way to do this. I've erased the couplings. This one's at 19 feet, 19 and 19. This one's at 19 feet. I'm going to change it to 18 feet. And now if I reconnect them, 18 feet getting connected to 19 feet. Has to go down, over, and back up. Alternatively, I could erase that. I could pick on this one and draw a pipe. Well, I'm just going to draw a pipe. 1 inch. No, I'm going to put it at 1.25 inches. And what size was it? It was 1 inch. Okay. So I'll stick with 1 inch. I'm going to draw it PI, 1 inch pipe at 18 feet, threaded, and then I'm going to draw from there to there. And that's another down, over, and down. If I wanted to go around something instead of down, over, and down, I could create similar, and I could go around it like that. Now, I sort of went around it. I really want to be exactly 6 inches off of this wall, and I want to be exactly 6 inches off of this wall. If I click on it, sometimes I get witness dimensions that let me tweak that. Once it's all connected, we're less likely to get those witness dimensions. But nothing prevents me from putting a dimension from that pipe to that wall, to that wall, to that pipe. And then I got to pick on nothing. And that's kind of a mess. Let me just click on that pipe. So now this dimension is currently at 7 inches. I'm going to make it 0'6". And then I'm going to click on this pipe. And remember, you don't want to click on the dimension. You want to click on the pipe. And that one is hiding in there. I've got to clean this up. I'm going to clean it up by changing the scale temporarily to 1 inch equals a foot. I didn't make the dimensions smaller. I made the pipe drawing much bigger. So now it's really easy to see that's 0'3½". I'm going to make it 0'6". Okay, now I want to take this branch line, and it's already jogged. I want to show you a couple of things. I'm going to jog it further, but then I'm going to change my mind and say I want it to come down the other side instead. So let me start out with just jogging this further. And I'll jog it so that it's 9 inches. 9 inches, 6 inches. I want this line 6 inches off of that grid. So I'm going to put a dimension from the grid to the line. I've still got my really small scale, and I'm going to just click on that and make that 0'6". When you move a pipe, this is probably more important than all the rest of the show-off stuff that I do here. When you move a pipe, every pipe that's connected to it parallel will move with it. Every pipe that's perpendicular to it will get longer or shorter. That's wicked cool. However, no pipe is allowed to get shorter than 0. So it'll make pipes longer and shorter, and then it'll whine and complain if you wind up making one too short. So let me quiz you. Drew, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
I haven't given you much of a chance to pop in here yet. But I want to see if I can get you to think through this with me. I'm going to take this pipe. I'm using my left and right arrows, and I nudged it a little bit to the right. And you can see that the pipe I picked on moved to the right,
Mm-hmm.
and the pipe above it moved to the right. the pipe below it, this one down here, this one got shorter. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And this one got shorter too. So if I go shorter still, everything's good. When am I going to get yelled at?
It looks like when that arm over is about to lose some length. Yeah,
I
right
think
there.
so. It's like, I'm okay. You can't do that.
Right when we run into that flex hose.
Right. So when I wanted to move there and I can't. Um, regretfully, this thing says the duct pipe. As soon as they say duct, I stop reading, right? I'm not a plumber or a HVAC guy. However, it does says or pipe has been modeled to be in the opposite direction, causing the connection to be invalid. Um, I talk about that as like trying to bend my fingers backwards. They'll bend if you curl your fingers. You can bend them up, bend them up, bend them up. But once they're straight, they just don't want to go anymore. That's the way I'm interpreting that error. Um, I feel like it would make a little more sense is pipes were getting longer and shorter, and one got too short. Um, so there's nothing for it. You got to pick. I would strongly discourage delete elements because you may not even know that there's one up here that's getting too short, and you could wind up with a bunch of stuff deleted. So I'm going to recommend if you try to do that and you can't, then pick cancel. And now we've got it down to about as short as we can get it. If I picked the window around that and I picked I'm control picking around that, I'm predicting, like you did, Drew, that's what was getting too short. If I move that now I'm moving the pipelet, the thing connected to the pipelet, and the little tiny pipe and the coupling. I'm moving them all together. And we're back to following those rules. If it's parallel to me, I'm moving it. If it's perpendicular to me, I'm making it longer or shorter. So I'm good forever now. Yeah, Drew?
Oh, not quite. Once
I'm
you run
about
into
to
that
get
elbow
yelled
to the
at, aren't
south.
I? There, I got yelled at again. So you're good for as long as you can follow those rules. The parallel stuff is going to move with me. The perpendicular stuff is going to get longer and shorter, but nobody shorter than 0. So if I wanted to get this thing on the other side, I'm going to use 2 buttons. We've added buttons to make getting rid of stuff easier, and putting it on there in the first place isn't so hard either. So I'm going to go to spacing and layout, configure head, and I'll point out that configure head has change configuration, connect head, disconnect head, and connect to outlet. So change configuration is it's currently down, over, and down, but I want it to go up, over, and down, or just over and down. So you can redefine the shape and then change configuration. Disconnect head is the one that I want here. Could not find a branch line. Select it. Ooh, let me try the branch line. These are maybe my special fittings that are getting me in trouble here. Let me try that. Disconnect. Escape. Disconnect head. Could not find branch line. Select it. That did it. I still have the head and I still have the branch line. So let me try disconnect head again. Configure head, disconnect heads. That was nice of him. Okay. Now, I still can't move it for that same reason, huh, Drew?
Yeah, it's gonna bark
Yep.
at you if you keep trying to push it to the
So
right.
I'm gonna disconnect that, and I'm going to see if I can get away with this. Yeah. A loose elbow will turn on its axis. If that were a T, I don't think I'd get away with it, but I was able to get away with that. So now I'm saying I could just take this whole thing and move it to the other side. And I could take this and move it back. And elbows will turn about their connected outlet. So if I pulled that, I think I could get away with pulling that onto there. So the elbow turned itself around. And now I'm going to connect heads. Configure head. Configure head. I want to go down, over, and down and use those flex brackets. And I'll go a lot of flex only. So the whole thing will be flexible. And it'll do the over a foot up from the heads, and then connect heads and connect these two heads to that line. And we've got a section to look at for that. Well, I'm disappointed. I expected that to be all flexible. Let me make, I think I said only 1'6", so I'm going to do that over. Or I'm not going to do it over. I'm going to use that change configuration thing. So configure head, down, over, and down. But you see how I was limiting the length of the flex to 1'6", and then I'm going to change configuration. And he got close, but I think I'm going to disconnect heads and redo the connection. Another bit of advice: generally, you're better to do it over. You don't necessarily have to start at the very beginning, but to do something over right in the first place is easier than tricking that last little bit into connecting. That section would probably have, oh yeah, that's pretty crazy. So definitely disconnect heads and reconnect. So that's disconnect pipes. This is disconnect heads. Change configuration, disconnect heads. Could not find branch line. Try picking on it. And that looks like it mostly did it, but it left the branch line not connected, and I'm just nudging it a little bit so one pipe connects to the other. And now I'm going to connect heads with a long flex. Configure head. All of this is right, but I want to connect heads. Much better. So that's jog a branch line a little bit, jog a branch line all the way to the side. I think you could see if we were talking about like just I am puzzled why none of my heads are showing here. Maybe that's the scale. Let's go back to 8th scale. Yep. So let's say this branch line want to go a foot to the left. I'm saying I could use my CP to cut in a coupling. I'm going to delete the coupling, and that left a gap in the pipe. So now if I take this pipe and I move it 1 foot to the left, everything parallel to it moved with me, and then I can create similar. And I don't know whether I'll get away with this. These aren't, I'm going to quit here. I'm going to wiggle this so that those are lined up. Yeah, you see the little dotted line? So though the ends are lined up with each other. Then if I create similar, I can do that. Those are the ones we wrote down. Does anybody have like another thought? Oh, how about?
Yeah, and I think I might be able to piece it together, but for rolling pipe, would you basically just pick that slope pipe option and then not set like the specific slope it had to do?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get these lined up with each other. And now this one's at 19 and that one's at 19. I'm going to put this one at 18. Well, not the end, but the whole pipe at 1810. I wanted 1810. And when I change this pipe to 18 foot 10, I changed this one and this one, right? But you can't get an elbow in there. That's only 2 inches. The trick is this: create similar, start here, but add vertical. That's going to try and go over and then go up 2 inches and say I can't do that. Change slope will put that in at a rolled elbow.
Gotcha. Thank you.
If I deleted this pipe, I'd be offsetting just back-to-back elbows worth. So there's a delete pipe between this fitting and that fitting. We used that in the riser, remember? Now I'm not at 1810 anymore, but I've got a rolling back-to-back elbow.
Awesome. And then, yeah, kind of like, I guess if you wanted to do back-to-back 45 for some reason, you just do that in the section view then, largely.
Yeah, yeah. If rolling 45s is that what you're suggesting?
Yep, I know it's usually a pain, especially in CAD.
So I always like a challenge. I'm going to take and draw a pipe off of this one at a 45. And I'm going to say add vertical to keep that flat. And then I'm going to shoot for this pipe. I'm probably getting myself in trouble. I'm trying, but you raised the flag. I'm after it here. So I want to point this guy at that guy. And then I'm going to get a 45 and get him pointing at this guy. Then I'm going to line them up and connect them. So I'm going to take this stuff and rotate it about. I'm placing it at the center there. And I'm going to point it so that it's pointing right at the center of that guy. Oh, I got the head selected. I didn't mean to. I'm unselecting the head. So I'm just taking this and rotating it. So rotate from the center of there, pointed at the center of that pipe. And then this is a cheat. This is a cheat, but I'm going to TR. TR is modify. It's like the command for fillet. It's called trim and extend. So I'm going to TR that pipe into that pipe. And the cheat is I didn't pay any particular attention to that. Oh my gosh, it's 45 degrees. I think I could take the sprinkler apprentice program test, so long as I had Revit to help me with it.
Perfect. And then, like, I guess so it still shows up as a 90, I noticed, in like the properties, but what you're looking for is just the angle that it's picking up. It's supposed to be a 45, 90 instead.
It's called a 90, but this is again goes back to what I was talking about the other day. Revit has just a T. So I made a T that would be a straight T if the sizes were all the same. They made only one shape, an elbow, but the elbow has an angle built into it. So it's called elbow, and it can be used for 11 and a quarter, 45, 22 and a half, or 90, because it
Gotcha.
has that other property in it.
Mhm.
And it will, I promise you, Chris, it will stock list as a 45.
Yeah, perfect. Because yeah, it's able to just check that angle setting, like you're saying, and say,
Right.
oh, this is what it's supposed to be. Cool.
Right. Okay. The other thing was huge projects, and we've run out of time, but I'm not running away. But there's under help, under the quick video. I did the wrong thing. Help videos. If you type huge, there's a couple of videos on that. I don't know that it's really, we talked about this before. The size is not a critical thing. Um, but if you're trying to work with everything in the whole project at once, it will go slow. Um, the reality of the fact is we seldom have to work on more than a sprinkler system, on more than 500 or 700 sprinklers at a time. And Revit handles that just fine. But if you create a view that has 24,000 sprinklers in it, that view will be very sluggish and very slow. There are a few other things that can slow your project down, and those are covered in this in these two videos. And I will suggest you probably want to wait till you get there to bother yourself with that stuff. On anything up to one or two sprinkler systems, you just won't notice any performance hits for the size of the file. Anyone else?
What about adding a like 1 inch outlet on the bottom of a main?
Oh, I didn't put it on my list, but thanks for reminding me. So I want an auxiliary drain or a drain outlet here, yeah? So
Yeah.
I'm going to do P first. I'm going to check this pipe. It's at 17 feet. I'm going to draw a PI, a pipe. I'm going to make it 1 inch, and I'm going to make it threaded. And I'm going to draw from off to the side over to that pipe. I screwed up. I'm going to do that over. I'm going to do PI 1 inch. I'm not going to go from 18 feet. I'm going to go from 16'6" threaded, and then I'm going to come from off to the side and go over there. Now, you asked about a 1 inch outlet. An auxiliary drain might have a ball valve and a nipple and a cap. Do you want me to go there, or are you happy with just the?
I just want an outlet on the bottom that I can plug,
Okay,
basically.
so I'm going to put a plug in it. Let me go here and show you the outlet. That's good. I'm going to get rid of this pipe. I'm going to get rid of that elbow. And then I'm going to cap open ends. Edit, cap open ends. And then I'm going to take that cap and change it to a plug. And then I'm going to delete pipe between that outlet and the plug. Is that like as close to perfect as you could
Yep,
guess?
that's perfect.
If you want it lined up with this thing, just nudge it over to there. And we were getting yelled at before, but I'm going to sort of take advantage of that. I'm nudging, nudging, nudging until he yells at me, and then I'm going to quit. And that's a small enough distance that when the stock list sees it, it's going to put both of those outlets at the same location, one facing up and one facing down. And if you want to get it really close, where it is isn't bad, but if you want to get it really close, you can just zoom way in and nudge it a little bit further before you get yelled at. But that's small enough that the stock listing is going to say go 10 feet and put an inch and a half pointing up, go 0 feet, put a 1 inch pointing down, go 6 inches and put a cap or put no fitting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry, I practiced that one even. And when I practiced it, I put a ball valve and a nipple and a cap on. But sorry, I missed it. Thanks for reminding me. Anyone else?
I got a. This is related to I was working on the homework and I ended up for some reason coming up with a thread groove riser nipple. Can you help me? Tell me how I should fix that, or if I just need to erase and start over. I'm not sure how to fix it.
So when you ran the stock list, one of the riser nipples said thread groove instead of thread or groove.
No, I just started over with the laying out the system again, and
Okay.
I did the branch lines and the main, and then connected the pipes. And when I looked at it in 3D, I just have a threadlet at the main and a groove at the line.
At the line. Okay. So the chances are, yeah, I'm a little puzzled how that would happen, but fixing it is simply changing. I'm saying I'm going to go break mine to reflect the same as what you had.
Okay.
There's a thread at the bottom and a groove at the top.
Yep.
I can't think offhand. Now you could erase it and do it over and probably come out right, but all that's wrong is that thing is a pipelet instead of a groovelet. So if you click on it, there's all the other ways a T could be drawn, and the one that we wanted was a groovelet.
Okay.
Certainly, one of the things I delight in Revit, you didn't get all the way to the stock list, but you knew a long, long time ago before you got to the stock list, that wasn't going to be right.
Yeah.
Whereas in AutoCAD, you're sort of crossing your fingers and finding out when you get the stock list and then trying to figure out how to talk it into doing the right thing. What you see is what you get here.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Yeah, that's a thing about how this is why you become you don't trust the computer, because you sometimes something like this will happen and you thought it was supposed to be something else, and then your stock list results are something you weren't wanting at all. But with Revit, at least you can see it.
Right. It's a much better representation of what you're going to get in the stock list. Much sooner too.
And kind of what that's showing too is the end prep is totally just based on the fitting it's connecting to. Then is kind of what you're showing here.
That is correct.
Gotcha.
Well, I can't thank you all enough for being a part of the class, for being able to jump in and make sure that we're covering the things you need. I remind you about all the stuff we did is recorded, and you may not have used it or needed it yet, but 2 months from now, that video topic index can be really, really handy. It's just a text document, but you can say we were talking about the mains and the lines. We were talking about riser nipples. You could do a control F to find riser nipple in the things that we covered. and then that'll take you right to the 5 minutes of recorded video where we actually did it. Has anybody used that video topic index yet? Brian, am I just talking about it, or do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I've actually downloaded the files that you've sent. I just
Good.
haven't gone
You haven't
over them
used
yet.
it. You haven't used
Yeah.
it. And I'm thinking a week or a month from now, you need to be reminded to use it because it's fresh in your mind now, but later you might need a refresher of exactly how did we do something.
Well, yeah, I plan if I can find a day off, I'll actually go back and start over and just go through it again.
Nice. Very nice. Well, thanks again. Happy 4th of July. And
Hey, Alan, when is the intermediate class roughly?
roughly a month from now.
That's good.
By the end of the weekend, I promise to post it. It should have been there already. But if you just go to hydrocad.com and pick on training, that date will show up before the end of the weekend.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Good pitch. Thanks. That wasn't set up.
That's a plant.
Thank you for that. The check is in the mail. Very good. I'll look forward to seeing you guys again. And please, if you do get stuck on anything, send me an email. I'd be thrilled to help you with it. And Revit support gets you access to not just Al, but a team of people that can get back to you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Alan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.